We're live.
Oh, excellent. It worked. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
We are live from the beach at the moment.
Yes.
Oh, hey, I see a few people join in. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm actually live with Jen in person.
Hello, everybody. Oh, you can see me twice. That's funny.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
We're in Naples.
We are in Naples, Florida. And excited to be doing this live by the beach today. We're going to mix it up a little bit, so I hope you guys can hear us okay. Can somebody give us a heart if you can hear us all right? Because there's a little bit of noise, but we thought it was worth the risk for this view. That's not good. Somebody give us a heart. No.
Can you hear us?
All right. That's fine. We'll proceed.
Okay.
All right. What are we talking about today?
The end of
We're
an
talking
era.
about. I think we had a lot of really interesting conversations lately about taking back agency and thinking a lot about this idea that a lot of marketing and sales in the past has come from deficiency marketing, right? I'm going to do this because Jen's on my right here.
Yes.
Has come from a place of like, oh, you feel inadequate in some way. Let us help you fix that. And so you see this a lot with like aging, and you see it a lot with weight loss or even careers. And I think people, but especially women, have maybe met their limit of that. And maybe we want to start thinking about ourselves differently. I think there's always room to improve, but I think that needs to be our choice instead of somebody else telling us that we need to be a certain way.
Yeah.
And so we were just talking about this idea and thought it would be interesting to carry on the dialogue on taking back some agency and for us deciding what it is that's going to serve us
Yeah.
as people.
Yeah. I think, and thank you for having me on, by the way.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
going to be looking this way because Steph's over there. It says my internet connection is unstable.
I can still see you, so that's
You
good.
can?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's
Yep.
good. Yeah, I think it's a great topic. I think as women, we have a ton of pressure on us in the workplace, at home, to do all the things. You know, Steph's a mom. I'm not a mom of human children, although I have goats and chickens and a lot of responsibility. And so it's just, I think, a lot to be a woman. And we were talking earlier too about even the pressure to like look good, right? And to attract a certain partner.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, then they've done some studies too that even beyond a partner, like there's a certain look that does well for you even in a corporate setting.
yep.
So it's like, how do I conform in terms of how I look, how I speak, in order to fit the mold to achieve X? And if that's in alignment with who you are and your values, then that's great. But quite often, they're not. And so you're having to make a decision about maybe pivoting a little bit that feels out of alignment, but is getting you where you're going. And so it's interesting to think about, like, first of all, what are your values and what are you striving for? And in order to really be able to determine or discern whether or not someone asking you to do something is in alignment or not. So there's a level of self-awareness in the first place that I think sometimes we don't spend enough time thinking about. If someone's asking you or telling you something and you've never thought about it before, you're more likely to just absorb what's coming at you. Like, okay, I'm a middle-aged woman now, so I must be having wrinkles and I must need this cream, and I must be able to do XYZ thing. But if it's not in alignment, then, you know, really reevaluate that. But I guess you have to first ask yourself, is that in alignment,
Right. Yeah.
So.
And we're both coaches. And I know, Steph, you talk about this a lot about creating the space to really be able to do that inner work and understand, okay, what is mine versus what is inherited. And you can feel it in your body. We have signals in our body when something's out of alignment. For example, I was working a corporate job in the past, and it was kind of eating away at me, and I didn't realize until it was kind of too late, to be honest. I talk about this on my channel, The Divergent Talent Alchemist, but ended up in the hospital due to stress. I kept taking on more and more and more kind of like people pleasing tendencies in a way because of my upbringing, my past, how I was raised. And then, there weren't a ton of boundaries there. And eventually I just kind of crashed. If I had now, that I've done some work on myself, I kind of understand what those symbols are, the signals, tightness in your chest. When there's values misalignment, our bodies will talk to us.
Yep. But how did you learn in the first instance about checking in with your body? Because our culture doesn't talk about that. We don't talk about space and stillness and checking in with our bodies. So, like, how did you first come to be aware that that was even a useful tool?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I did some therapy, which was great, some coaching as well, but also I kind of waited till it was too late and my body was like, nope, we're just going to stop. Like, I literally, I had a full-blown panic attack, to be honest. I talk about this a lot where, the EMTs standing over me, a couple, and they're like, what do you do for work? And I listed out everything, and the lead was like, oh, that would make me anxious too, because I just had too much responsibility. So I wish that I'd kind of taken that self-inventory earlier. But unfortunately, I was in a position where my body decided, nope, we're done here.
Well, bodies will do that. And I think that your answer is probably what most people would say. Like, you don't always question something until a truck hits you. They say, like, the universe will start off with a feather. And if you ignore the feather, it might throw a brick at you. If you ignore the brick, you might get run over by a truck. But the point is, we don't pay attention early enough. There are signs all the time, but our culture is really one of, well, it didn't occur to me until I ended up in the hospital, or I got fired from a job, or something relatively large has occurred. And I love the idea that you can, if you start paying attention just a little bit sooner and creating a little bit of space, you can pick up on these things before the shit hits the fan. Can I say that? Before the truck, even before the brick, right? It doesn't have to be this big smack in the face. It can be a little ache, and it is a body thing. Like, I could be like, just feeling it in my body. How does it feel when I do that kind of work, or when I talk to that person? How is my body responding to that? We just override our bodies constantly, and that's just such a normal human thing to do, to get mindy, get brainy about it. But checking in with our bodies is a powerful thing. Most people don't honestly know how to do that, but I think it's one of the most human, natural things to do. Like, what's your favorite way to tap in and get out of the brain?
Oh my gosh. Well, I do Pilates, which has really helped ground me. I take baths. I go on walks. Sometimes I will literally just, hold on. There's a helicopter, so it might be.
But you can't talk louder than the helicopter.
Yeah. Sometimes I will take walks. I'll snuggle my animals. Like, I kind of have a whole list of stuff, because I know what it feels like not to have those coping strategies, and so I never want to be in that position again. So, like, after this whole, I will call it like a spiritual awakening of sorts, I have a long, like, almost like my sensory toolkit to be able to check in, and like, I'll feel it in my chest. I get a really tight feeling in my chest when I'm anxious. And so I try to avoid situations where I'm feeling like that if I can, right? But life happens, and so, it's just having those things in my pocket that I could be able to just ground myself. Even breath work is a big one, just taking a couple deep breaths. What about you?
That's a huge one. Yeah. I like the breath work. I think but nature. And actually, you mentioned animals, and I wanted to pick up on that, because animals are powerful. I put them in the same sort of category as nature.
Yeah.
Because in a way, it's another living thing with no preconceived ideas about anything, and just spending time. Like, there's an energetic exchange, right, that happens when you're with animals. And I also, guys, don't have any pets. I have a 9-year-old, but that does not count.
Yeah, but that's important.
It is.
Bring joy too, right?
No, absolutely. And a good cuddle, I mean, it goes a long way. But I find a walk in nature, like any kind of, like, today we're at the beach. That's super grounding. And it just reminds you, like, a couple of things for me is, like, just taking a moment to even listen to the sounds, smell the smells, and not be, like, constantly even narrating it, just appreciate it for what it is. But that's kind of one of my go-tos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want me to clean anything?
I love
No,
that.
thank you. We'll keep it. We're going to keep it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I think, too, just being by water, like, to your
Yeah.
point, I go to the beach often. I'll take the dogs. Like you said, the smells. I'm similar in that way. Water does, there's studies about that, too. Water does something to your brain. I think you have a couple messages in the chat. Hi, Kat.
Oh,
It
yeah,
always
thank
takes
you.
a large impact for us to notice. I love that you guys are at the beach. Yeah.
We
This
love it,
is our
too.
first time meeting. We
Oh, yeah.
met
In person, real life.
Yeah. We met on Substack.
Yes.
Uh,
Oh, yeah, the sand, for sure. We're our sand in our toes right now.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
I won't show you my feet because I might scare you, but
No, it's good. And honestly, even taking out time to do this, it's like a Monday during the day. You know, there's other stuff that we should be doing, maybe, I don't know. But it's the human connection piece of it. It's like this grounding, getting to, even if it's a tree or a plant in your house. I will honestly sometimes just stare at a plant, even in a meeting. Like, I've got plants in my house. Anything that kind of just takes me out of my normal thinking, constantly computing, working on stuff, being productive. My God, we're productive a lot of the time, aren't we? And it's like, can we afford to be not productive just for a minute to get clued back into ourselves?
yeah.
And that in itself is really powerful. I don't know how many things I do that are not productive, but I'd like to do more of that. I guess a walk in the park isn't always productive, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're listening to sometimes I will multitask and I'll do a meeting or a podcast while I'm in a walk, doing a walk. But
It's so funny because I have my Aura ring, right? And I sent my husband a screenshot of my stats the other day because you know it measures like your sleep quality, your stress level, your restorative time, and he's like, you had 15 minutes in restorative time like the last
nice.
couple days. He's like, you need to do more of that.
Yeah.
It's like you have to constantly remind yourself, to your point, Steph, where you're in a society that just really puts a lot of value on being productive at work. You know, there are these constant measures and pressure to be successful.
The metrics, the KPIs.
Yes.
We're
the
metric
goals.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do find though that you go deep, like coming to the beach, like we can't do this every day. This is a real blessing, right? But I'll be able to like pull back to this moment and ground from it later in the week. And I think that's also the power of some sort of regular practice. It doesn't have to be a huge practice, but like any sort of micro practice allows you to tap into this. Yeah, not the KPIs. And bring us back to also what really matters. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like a lot of times those metrics become my North Star. Other people's priorities become my priority. And sometimes they're in alignment, a lot of times they're not. And so again, it goes back to this awareness piece, like as a human, as a woman, as a mother, as a entrepreneur, like what are the things that are truly genuinely important to me and what I'm trying to achieve, and what might I be adopting as somebody else's priority. And those things, they sometimes compete with each other, right? So A is like having awareness of what those priorities are in the first instance, and then being mindful. Sometimes I can't do what I want to do. Like sometimes I have to balance. We all have, jobs and stuff and bills to pay, but like what does the balance look like?
That's such a good point. Well, I love what you said around what are we prioritizing? We're prioritizing a lot of times to get somebody else rich, right? But how can we take our power back? And a lot of it is just sitting with yourself and doing that inventory of what is meaningful to you. Like we talk about this a lot too, Steph. I go back to what I like to do in childhood sometimes, and like who I was before the world morphed me into this person that is like high achieving, has to get the soccer scholarship, has to be, the next promotion, climbing that corporate ladder, and you get stuck so much on autopilot that I feel like some people, and I never want to be this way, and I'm grateful for community and for people who are having conversations like Steph and I are having, because it normalizes it. Some people just go through life on autopilot the whole time, and like I never want to not enjoy the little moments like today, but it's easy to do, to get caught up in the next project, you know, the next whatever it is, the next promotion, having the next kid, or, you know, like getting married. We have so many things that we're just told, okay, this is like this is the right path.
This is what success looks like.
Yeah.
This is it right here. And you take it and you're like, okay, I'll do that.
I'll do it. Yeah.
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 That is so interesting. And have you noticed, like, though, that things are starting to shift a little bit? Like, one thing that I picked up on sort of recently was this idea of anti-aging shifting to longevity. And as I'm in my mid 40s now, and I'm thinking, okay, this is something I want to start thinking about because I want to age well and I want to be strong and these sort of things. And I'm noticing the brands that are doing it well, and I'm noticing the brands that are not doing it well. And they could be selling the same thing. But if you talk to me about strength and longevity and aging well, I'm listening to you. If you're talking about get rid of your wrinkles and lose weight, you've lost me. And I wonder, is that just me? Is that more of a cultural thing? It's interesting to think about because I think businesses are starting to clue in on this a little bit.
I love that. That's super interesting. Yeah, we have, we're in America right now. We have this like picturesque view of what like the American woman is supposed to look like, and we're so caught up in like aging backwards. I think aging is beautiful, right? But doing it in a healthier way, not, you know, because I'm never going to have the washboard abs that I had when I was 15, 16 years old.
But if you just buy my cream, you will have those abs.
Yes. If you take this little pill, you know, this little diet pill, like you will lose 40 pounds in a week. Yeah. It's like, that's not...
Yes, very good. Thank you.
That's a great point, Steph, from a marketing perspective. Women are often the target of that type of marketing.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like, women of a certain, like, I want to say age, but there's also a career thing, which means there's more disposable income. We're a very interesting market. And we are probably mid to, you know, approaching the top of our careers. We've got a certain amount of expertise and we got a lot of eyes on us. So then there's a nice combination. We're juicy targets for a lot of people. And it really makes us think like, okay, am I looking at that? Is it in alignment, or did I just get tired? I put my filter down. Whatever you shoved in front of my face, I now want it. And I just like do it.
Right.
There's a lot of that.
That's so true. That is so, so true. I mean, I'm looking at my biological clock right now, right? I'm 36. And so it's like, okay, my husband and I, do we have kids? Do we not have kids? You know, am I going to be, now I'm considered like a high risk pregnancy. I look around, all of my friends have kids, right? And so there's like that pressure. That's a big one for me. You know, do we adopt? I don't know.
That's huge, though, and I just want to shout out to you for even taking the time to ask.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people don't do that. I don't know that. I don't think I did. I think I got out of university, I got married, I was just like on this autopilot thing, and I think we're coming back to a lot of the same. The common thread of a lot of this is intentionality, is like intentional. If you want to get married and have kids, do the thing, and you're doing it intentionally, go you. I have no problem with that. I did it. But I think a lot of people will do that just going through the motions because that's what's culturally accepted. No one is going to look at you twice if you do that route. If you pause and you do things a little differently, people will be like, oh, you're just a little bit weird, aren't you? You know?
Yeah, why doesn't she? Well, I think you're absolutely right. There's a lot of judgment that comes with that. Oh, she's selfish. You know, she doesn't. Yeah. Actually, I have like a lot of trauma. and I've worked through a lot of that, but that's also like when we think about generationally and like passing things down, I often think like, do I want to put that on somebody else? Because the reality is it's going to happen if it's genetics, or if I go and adopt. I was adopted. Like, it's it could be a really hard thing for a kid. I mean, it's pitched as this beautiful, it's marketed to you as this, you are saving a life. But it's like changing the beginning of somebody. It's a rewrite. It's a legal rewrite of the beginning of somebody's life. So they're, like, to your point, taking inventory on some of those things is important. I've personally, like, always wanted to be a mom, but am I in the best position to be? I don't know. People always tell me, Jen, yeah, you should, but we shall see.
Should is a dangerous word. I've been thinking about should lately, and should is usually a reflection of somebody else's priorities and demands on you. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, you know what? I think that might be right. If I feel like I should do anything, I better check in, because is that my own thing that feels in alignment? Because if it is, I probably wouldn't use that word.
Right.
And if you should be doing something, it's somebody else.
That is such a good point.
Right?
Yeah, that's such a good reframe.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. But I mean, like, as it relates to, leadership as well, I think this intentionality thing, like, I think the best leaders are the people who are in alignment with what they're supposed to be doing. They're in alignment with themselves. They just have this sort of congruence, in terms of their insides match their outsides. Not everybody can get there. Like, that's really the journey, is like when your insides are aligned with your outside actions, that's like the gold mine.
Yeah.
But as it relates to leadership in any capacity, whether you're, a mom or a parent, or whether you're a teacher or in business, it doesn't matter. When your insides match your outsides, then like magic happens. And when you're out of alignment, sometimes then that's a real struggle. So I think a lot of this work can sound like optional. It can sound like a nice to have. But when we're sitting here talking about building awareness and being intentional, I feel like that's non-negotiable. And I think more people should be talking about it that way than like, oh, I'll get to that at some point. I'll work my butt off and then I'll get to the thing. Like,
right.
What if the thing is for you now?
Sure. I love what you said, Steph. And you always talk about following your joys.
Oh yeah.
Which is, I think it's very important, and it's very easy to lose sight of that in the hustle and bustle with everything going on. Like slowing down and just being with yourself. Sometimes it's scary. Like, I know people who don't want to sit with themselves at all. They're constantly just moving and moving and moving. And you have to take that time to yourself, and when you do, like, you'll be surprised what comes up.
100%. I think we're so stimulated as a culture. You go from doing to working, and then you come home and you're doing some more, and then you might watch TV, and then you check your phone. And if there's ever a moment where you're not doing, you grab your phone, right? I mean, that's like such a normal and accepted thing. I was waiting in line at the pharmacy the other day, and everybody had their phones out. And I actually thought about doing it for a second, but that's when I noticed that everybody had their phones out. And I was like, well, this is like a little psychology thing. I'm just interested to watch how people react. Like, I think long ago, people would have actually had a conversation with the person next to them, and now you don't do that anymore. But it's interesting to think about what just the default patterns are, and just becoming aware, like, that's a choice. If you grab your phone and that's a choice, yeah, I mean, of course, I use my phone all the time.
Yeah.
But can I be more mindful when I do it, and what is the impact of that?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're constantly having to be connected, whether we're, even if you're working a remote job. Like, I remember feeling like I work for myself now, but when I was working in corporate, like, feeling like I had to be glued to the computer to the point where I couldn't even go to the bathroom because, like, I was going to miss a message. And, like, that is a sign in itself. If you feel like you can't decompress, or you're sitting there watching TV and scrolling on your phone, and it's like our attention spans are so short. And I do it too. Like, I'm guilty of it too. To Steph's point, taking inventory of those moments, and what else can you do to fill that time? Maybe it's journaling, maybe it's taking that walk, maybe it's doing a meditation,
maybe it's doing nothing. That's sometimes the hardest thing, right? Where I already do something and it's like, do nothing for a minute. But yeah. I do really think that is the edge. I mean, my thing is called inner edge, but like truly is the edge. Like, if you want to know what sets people apart, and what you follow the joy is like the breadcrumbs of what you're supposed to be doing, what your gifts are. And then if you can develop that from the inside out, and it doesn't have to be a thing necessarily, but like the edge is this sort of inherent knowing that you have more agency and authority and power than probably you're giving yourself credit for. And I speak those words to myself as much as anyone else. But like, there's a lot of authority that we just give away because either we hadn't really thought about it, or we don't trust ourselves. And I think the inner edge is this idea that not only do I know what I am, I trust it, and I'm going to follow it. And even if it's not the conventional thing, I'm going to believe in myself enough to do it. That really can open up so much in terms of like what externally you see, but also just the joy, right? And it takes a lot of the pressure off. But it really is this thing. It's nothing out here. right?
Yes. Yes. It's such a good point. We're often, and I used to do this a lot more, seeking validation even externally. And it, like, the truth is, to Steph's point, it has to come. Hi, Margaret. It has to come from within, not from without. Now I sound like a cheesy Pinterest quote.
Yeah, but cheesy, but true.
But true. Yeah.
I'm all for cliche if it's true. Well, sometimes I come back to full circle. I'm like, oh my God, I've been hearing that forever. Like the other one I was thinking about is, it's the journey, not the destination. I can remember being like 7 and my mom gave me this and she was like, it's the journey. And I'm like, yeah. And I on some level, I get it.
Yes.
And now on a whole different level, like the more, it's like an onion. But this idea is so true.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, it really is. Like, there is no destination, guys. I just discovered this. There is no destination. Like, your journey is your destination. I'm like, oh my God, mind blown. And yet this is something I've been hearing or reading about or on a shirt since my whole life, right?
Right. We are all going to die. Not to scare,
Hi,
not
Margaret.
to scare you, but we are. So how do you show up every day and give yourself the best life possible?
Yeah, authentically and I think with intention. And a lot of times we can't change our external circumstances anyway. Not right now. But the journey just can start with a simple level of awareness, and then like little kind of tiny things that build up over time. But it does come from that space and that intentionality around, like, gosh, spend some time with yourself. What really does make you tick? What are the things that light you up?
Yeah.
And how can those things sort of, use those things to cultivate this inner badass, if you will, because that is all telling and that will help navigate. So the next time someone throws you an advert for like anti-wrinkle cream and you're like, no, that doesn't align, like, or maybe it does, but it's your choice. It's not some person in a tower marketing something and making money off you. Like, it's got to be intentional. I think that was really the main point of kind of today's discussion, which is like, take some of that agency back that we have unconsciously given away to any number of people, entities, could be individuals, businesses, whatever. It's just out there, and it goes to your point about the validation piece a little bit. Like, take this stuff and pull it back in.
Right. I think about, if you just Google quickly, like, the locus of control and the circle, and it shows you, what is inside. What do you have control over? What do you not have control over? You don't have control over the weather. You don't have control over the person that's driving really slow in front of you.
Oh, that's annoying.
The road. Yeah. But you have control of how you react to that. You could get like super anxious and have road rage, or
I sometimes do. I know. It's true, though.
we do.
Yeah.
But
what do you control?
What do you control? Exactly. The locus of control. It's important.
Yeah.
To take inventory of that.
And I would say you might be able to extend that. I'm just thinking on the fly here, but about agency and power and authority, whatever word. Power is an interesting one. We could do a whole nother one on that. Power is a word that I would like to use more of, but when I say the word out loud, I have like the visceral response to it. I have this idea that power is bad and we don't want power. So I'm working on that, guys. I'm doing the inner work. But I'm just saying, like, there's a whole lot of, like, what is your locus of power and authority as well? Like, we give a lot of that away. And, like, what does it look like to take some of that back?
Yeah.
It's okay if I drop it. Yes, please.
Thank you. Sorry. Yes. We have more control than we think we do.
Thank you.
To your point. Thank you so much.
Yep.
I think a lot of time, and we have control of incremental change. Like, I think a lot of times we have to take a step back. We want like that. We're in a society where we want that instant gratification, that like instant change. But sometimes you have to plan, to get there. And maybe you don't love your job and you don't feel good at it. You don't have to quit it tomorrow. But like, what are the steps that you need to take to get yourself into a position where you can enjoy your life? Because I've been in, job's just one example. It could be relationship. It could be anything, really. Mm-hmm. And you can you don't have to stay in the crappy job. You can take your power back. Taking a step back, recognizing those feelings, and then where do I go next? You could hire Steph as as a guide, but really, some of the best work that I've done has been with, in therapy, coaching, and then you're on your way once you do that introspective work, and it helps having community and someone else to guide you.
I totally agree. I wouldn't want to do this journey, by myself. I don't know that I could. And just creating that space and hanging out, it is hanging out with yourself, but sometimes it helps to get started with another person, and you hang out and you create space that has to be safe, and you ask yourself questions and just realize that all the answers are right there. You just got to start pay attention in a different way. And I think that's where you can take a little detour. You can get off the beaten road, the normal path, and sort of do things a little bit differently. Yeah. And if you can do it with a friend or somebody else in community, then all the better. We can inspire each other along the way. But yeah, it is interesting to think about just what is the dynamic between internal knowing and my internal direction, North Star, and what's happening out here. And there are some things out here that I might want. I might want a house. I might want a career that pays me a certain salary or whatever that looks like. But where do they meet in the middle? Because one of them doesn't have to override the other. And like, how do I interweave that, with intention? Yeah, it's an interesting thing, and I don't have an answer. I think everybody's answer is their own, and it comes from the inside. Yeah. But it is interesting, just even that thought alone, if you sit with that, that's probably putting awareness on something that maybe hasn't been thought about before. So
yeah,
it's an interesting one. Yeah. Well, this is good. I think we will keep our live a little shorter today, given the activity around here. There's I hope it's okay for you guys. It's been a little bit louder than normal because we're at the beach. For those who recently joined, Jen and I met face to face for real, like we're sitting next to each other. If you missed it, and there's two of you again. I love it.
The world does not need two.
You need more. But yeah, coming down to Florida, it's spring break down here, so just thought we would connect with each other, but also with you guys, and bring you in, because it is about community, and it is about this idea of authenticity and just being real. I don't think there's a stamp or a pathway or a framework that is one size fits all, but more of these conversations and more of these gosh, that's an interesting one. I never really thought about that. That's the sort of stuff that's going to let us evolve as a society, as an individual as well, to a place where we do find greater alignment, greater joy, and make a bigger impact in the world around us. So
yeah,
I'm super excited.
Margaret dropped us a heart.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This is fun. This is actually my... Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think this is my first guest. Guest live. I usually have people on, so thank you.
Yeah. I actually at one point forgot I was hosting. So.
That's when the conversation is good.
And this is the thing about community too. I'm with Jen, so we'll figure it out some way or another. Right. You host, I host, it doesn't matter. But yeah, so do it. Tell people that might be from my channel, what you do as well.
Oh yeah, so I am also a coach. Been building a community on Substack for about over a year now, and my newsletter is the Divergent Talent Alchemist. So I write about neurodiversity, identity, careers, trauma, everything fits together. It sounds like a long list of stuff, but I promise there's a through line there.
There is, yeah, 100%.
And that's why we get along so well, because we have a ton of overlap, right, with our stuff and our values. And yeah, so if you're not subscribed to me, definitely
it's gold. It's definitely gold. I love it. And there's a lot of stuff that overlaps, and there's a lot of underlap too, in a good way. But where we overlap is a lot of the leadership stuff and going within. And so there's a lot of really fun topics that I think we both hit on. So yeah, awesome. Definitely subscribe to Jen if you haven't already.
Yes.
Awesome.
And to Steph if you haven't, because some people here, I think they may not.
Yeah.
They'll be,
yeah. Okay, well, I'll say, hi, everybody. Yes. So Inner Edge coaching. I did mention it, but I think the whole thing about Inner Edge is just we have more power, authority, understanding, knowing than we give ourselves credit for. And if you ever are interested in wondering how amazing people do it, I think about even Oprah, or just really interesting, and they don't have to be famous, but what is their secret sauce? I think most of my research says that in that secret sauce, I mean, sometimes it's for sure luck, but I think luck is coming from the inside out, because luck is if you're ready and you're prepared and you know what you're looking for. That's the thing. That is an internal thing. Nobody gets to say to you, this is what you really want. Only you can know that. And so the whole idea of the Inner Edge coaching was born from this concept. This is when my mind was blown, when I realized nobody else has the prescription for Steph the way that I do. Nobody knows. Yeah, I barely know. So a lot of the work is just figuring this out. So I write about my own experience and what's helped me, and I do some coaching as well. But yes, if that's resonating, the hint is that the answers are not out there. The answers are not with me or anyone else. The answers are for inside of you. And so that's the whole idea, is like spend some time with yourself, ask yourself some questions. Yes, there are some frameworks and some tools, but really the ancient wisdom and the modern leadership thing, that's my jam. So that's what I like to talk about.
That is your jam.
That's my jam.
I love your jam. I think this has been so much fun.
Yeah,
especially being at the beach. I can't
Yes.
believe it. We'll
Give
show
you guys some zen. There you go. Oh yeah.
It's. I mean, we're in Naples. It's very, very nice here.
And it was nice to have you guys all join us. So I mean, thank you so much. We'll send out the notes. Oh, you can leave that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, we'll send out the show notes, and yeah. Anything else to close out with?
Oh my gosh. No, I think the biggest takeaway, you hit on it. It's your inner edge is learning yourself. Like Steph said, nobody is going to know you better than you know yourself. Even if you sign up for coaching, for therapy, like there's no magic bullet. There are frameworks, but you have to taking your power back, taking your agency back. It's a journey, right? Nobody has it all figured out. See that bird?
For real.
That's my thing. I think, yeah, take your power back.
Absolutely. Nobody knows it better. Well, thanks, everybody. Appreciate you joining us today on the beach from Naples, Florida. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for joining.